Welcome to Reads with Rosa. I'm so excited to introduce today's guest. She is with us all the way from Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea. She is the country director for the Hope Worldwide organization. Introducing my friend and sister, Priscilla. Woohoo! Hi, Priscilla.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rosa. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's so good to see you, sis. How are you doing? How are you doing over
Oh,
there in PNG?
PNG is awesome. Well, we have some challenges, but we can talk about that later on. But
Mm-hmm.
it's great. It's great to be here. I love the country. I love my country. I love the weather. Always
Oh,
sunny. We've
I'm
been
jealous.
experiencing a bit of rain, but it's all right.
Do you have a rainy season there?
Yeah, definitely. But from January until now, we've been experiencing rainy weather.
Ah, I
Yeah.
see. And how is everyone in PNG coping with the COVID-19, with the pandemic?
Yeah, like last year it was crazy because we were all trying to understand this foreign virus. What is it? What do we do? How do we prepare ourselves? But I think we've learned from that. And this year, we've had a number of increased cases in Port Moresby. And so we're all trying to live within the new normal of wearing masks and not
Yeah.
hugging one another, which is challenging because, in the Pacific and in Papua New Guinea, we're huggers. When we greet one another, we just love to hug. And now we just have to be like Japanese and, bow our heads and just smile. But you cannot even see the smile because it's under a mask.
Smile with
So,
your eyes, right?
yeah,
Can you show us
absolutely. Yeah.
how do you smile with your eyes?
How do you do that?
How do you
Just
do
go
that?
like this? I don't know. You might
Okay.
smile. You might do the wrong smile.
Okay. So for our audience, I actually met Priscilla here in Japan. She's a good friend. Man, I miss you, sis, because we always used to have such good laughs. Like we would pretend that we were vloggers. Actually, we weren't vloggers, but everyone used to say, "You two should be vloggers," because we used to just have such a good time
Yeah,
recording ourselves, pretty much,
yeah.
and just laughing. So I miss you so much, sis. But I'm so happy to have you here with us. Can you tell the audience just a little bit about what you were doing in Japan prior to returning home to Papua New Guinea?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So, I was in Japan as a graduate student. So I was doing my master's in international relations, and I wanted to become a diplomat and represent my country overseas. And so, yeah, I took that path of going and doing my master's in Japan, and I was in Niigata. In the university called International University of Japan, IUJ. So I did studies there, and then after that, I was like, well, I should go to Tokyo and challenge myself and look for a job. And so I went to Tokyo. I was homeless. I didn't have money. I didn't have a house to stay. I went by faith, and I was like, God, I want to see how I can, live here, and I want to see, I just want to try something new. And I was really passionate about teaching as well, and so I worked a bit with my embassy in Tokyo, and then I got a job with an international school, and I started teaching kindergarten. So that was so much fun. It's a lot of work, but you're a lot of jumping up and down, and but I enjoyed it. I just love teaching the kids. They're so innocent, so pure, ready to just um, embrace anything that you teach them. And I really want to do the best I can when I was there. So yeah, that's when I got to meet with you and all the awesome uh, islanders in Tokyo.
Yeah, Hare. What do you miss about Japan?
Oh, I miss eating sushi. I just love. I used to go to this place in. There's a place in Takarano Baba, and then there's also a place in Gotanda. It's called Standing Sushi Bar, where you just go and you stand and then you order from the Itamaya-san. That's the chef who makes sushi, and you just tell him exactly how you want your sushi to be done, and he does it right in front of you, and you have some yummy green tea. And I just miss having good sushi because you can't find quality sushi outside of Japan.
Right? Hard out. I feel that way too when I go to New Zealand and people are like, "Let's go and eat sushi," and then I'm looking at like, "That's not sushi." Like, nah, no, 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 no. Stop that right now. But
That's right.
you're also a passionate karaoke singer, right?
Oh man, I go hard out. Like like my principle is that whatever you do, you just give it all you got. So, when I sing, I go overboard, and then I actually, when I walk out of the karaoke, I strain my voice. But yeah, Rosa knows I really sing with all of my heart and all of my voice.
Yeah, we've had some good times. I think we've even got some footage, but don't worry, I won't be putting it in once we edit. You're fine. You're safe. You're safe, sis.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Okay, now I want to talk about Papua New Guinea.
Yeah,
You returned home to your homeland. Back to the islands. How was the
yeah.
transition? Heading back home. What was the transition like for you?
Yeah, so so I think for me personally, with everything that I want to set out to do, I have to pray a lot, and I have to read the scriptures, and just, I guess, wrestle or reason with God, like, what do I do? So even going back to Papua New Guinea, I wrestled a lot, I prayed a lot, and I said, because I've been in Tokyo for quite some time, like I think 8 years, going to nine. So I just felt like I want to go home and serve. And I live in this first world where everything is so, it's so easy. It's safe to walk around. Whatever I want to eat, I just go to the shops and get it. Like it's so easy. Whereas back home, I start seeing on social media or even on the news about the challenges in education and the health sector, and I just feel like I want to go out there and serve. So I prayed a lot, and there's a scripture in Isaiah 44. It says, when you go through fire, you will not be burned. When you go through rough waters, you will not be drowned, because I'm with you, because God is with you. So I just felt like, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go home because God is with me. So I'm gonna go and serve, and that's when I came home. And so my vision was already set. My purpose was very clear that I want to come home and serve. And at the same time, the position for the country director for Hope Worldwide Papua New Guinea was advertised.
Mm.
And so that's when excuse me, that's when I applied for the position. And I just like came straight into, like, I came to Papua New Guinea on Saturday. I started work on Friday, Monday. So
Straight
yeah.
into it.
So it's been the transition has been easy because my mind was already set to
Mm.
come home and serve. Yeah.
So, what do you want the world to know? Like, I'm sure a lot of our audience, perhaps they don't know a lot about Papua New Guinea. Perhaps they don't know a
Yeah.
lot about your home country. Tell us, describe Papua New Guinea in 5 words,
In
if
five
if
words,
if possible,
if
or tell us
possible.
5 things.
Well, the first thing, we're a diverse nation, and we have over 1,000 tribes, all united in one nation, Papua New Guinea. We have over 800 to 1,000 languages. Um, we're very friendly
Yes.
people, and our main religion is Christianity. We're very uh, a nation who acknowledges God, and Christianity is our religion. Wait, is that more than 5 words? Am I still
I
going?
think no, you
And
can keep going.
yes, and we have the best food, like all organic, fresh. I just love it. Like, you just go to the market and you don't buy things that are frozen. Frozen vegetables. You get the carrots and the ginger and all the greens that just was harvested like today. And so I just love the fresh organic food.
Mm,
I'm big on eating healthy.
great. So let's talk about hope worldwide. Okay, so as you've mentioned, you are the country director for the Papua New Guinea chapter of Hope Worldwide, because Hope
Yeah,
Worldwide is a it's a it's a worldwide organization, right? So there are
Yes,
chapters everywhere, and I think initially they begun in like two or three countries, and they've like it's
yeah,
growing, and now they're all over the world.
yes.
Serving over 1.5 million people. But how like what is your role in terms of like the organization there? Obviously, you head the role, but are you actively going into communities, or are you doing the planning and other people go out? What can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, Hope Worldwide Papua New Guinea was actually established in 1994, and it was started by a doctor called Dr. Graham Ogle, and he used to push a mobile caravan clinic from
Wow.
the settlements like settlements outer city, houses outside, streets outside of the city. And so they go and they treat disadvantaged communities, provide primary health care
Mm,
um, to the communities out there. And so that's how it grew from the flagship program of health and now into education. And they've done agriculture programs before. So I came in. I'm now the excuse me, the country director. And so what I do is I provide oversight on the programs, do budget planning with my finance, with my accountant, even design the programs with my program managers. I make sure negotiate with the donors. We're a donor implementing organization, so like we implement programs and funded by different donors. So currently we're implementing USAID funded programs and Global Fund funded programs in HIV and also our own government. So, I ensure that reports are submitted on time by my coordinators or the program managers. I make sure we're spending according to a specific budget line and, organize fundraising activities. So, yeah, and importantly, build this repertoire with other donors and make sure that they listen to the needs of Papua New Guineans as well as I'm sure like when donors come in, they have their own agenda and they have their own indicators that they want to achieve. But as a Papua New Guinea, I know the challenges of my people, so I have to, we have to come to an agreement that okay, this is your indicator, but this is what my people are struggling with. So,
mm,
let's devise the program in a way that it's beneficial to the community. So yeah, that's
mm.
basically in a nutshell what I do.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I know that as you mentioned, HIV health clinics, right? You're going out into these
yeah,
vulnerable communities and providing health clinics, building health clinics. But I also noticed last year there was also a literacy project that
yes,
your organization put together. Can
yes,
you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's not just health, right? I mean, literacy is also a
yes,
huge um, that's a huge goal. I mean,
yeah. A
that
need.
yeah, and definitely a need. So,
Yeah.
how did that go? How did that turn out?
So Hope Worldwide in the past they've implemented an education program, and that's supported by our volunteers in Australia and New Zealand. So whereby they sponsor kids coming from difficult background where maybe they're often orphanage kids or their parents are not working, and so they provide this more like a school fee support to those kids. And I think over 1,000 kids were sponsored under this program to continue their education. So they shouldn't stay back home because they don't have school fees, but they can. This program enable them to continue their education, and most of them are actually in the private sectors, working in the government right now, working in the health sector, teaching, and so it was such a dynamic program. In addition to that, they've also the program, that education program, also donate books, library books to schools, help them to initiate their own library, and so the program, it has to go on with donor funds
Right,
or some funding to
right.
sustain it. So
Mhm.
sustainability is an issue of running programs with an NGO. And so, but we were so fortunate. Like last year, we got some funds and support from Australia. And so we were able to support a school out in one of the disadvantaged community, our early childhood center. So we provided teacher support, even because I was teaching in Japan in early childhood, and I was also trained there. So I was able to also go to that school and train the teachers there on how to teach early childhood kids, so early childhood education. And so we were able to support them with that teacher support, and also if there's any needs in, say, stationaries, books, we were able to support that. So we last year we donated over 1,000 books to that school. And initially, that school did not have a library. So right now, it's helping the teachers to set up a library for the kids, so they have a system in which the kids, each classes can go in and borrow. So it's really inspiring. And early this year as well, we donated over 1,500 books to a very remote school in the highlands part of the region. And I was there. I went there this early this year in January, and it was so touching, to donate the books there, and just to see, the kids and even the teachers were like we did not have those materials to be able to teach well to the kids. And that's the need in the country. There's a lot of schools uh, remotely isolated, and so they don't have access to good books. And so my aim is that, for Hope Worldwide, use that as a vehicle to donate books to all these remote schools will be a dream come true, because a lot of kids don't have access to good reading books and all
Mm.
that. Yeah.
That sounds great. I was wondering, in regards to, because you mentioned right at the beginning that there are many languages
Yeah.
in Papua New Guinea. So, in terms of resources and books that are coming in, are they English books that are then like translated in these remote communities, or is it just basically all English books that
Yeah.
are going into the communities?
It's all English books, because English is one of the official. Even though we have these over 1,000 languages, it's one of the official languages of and the business language. And so the kids already know their traditional languages, and so we the English is taught as an official language in the school. But like, it's very important. Like when I was in Japan, I saw how the kids also studied the Japanese language, the hiragana, katakana, kanji, and they were able to write it well. And so, for the challenge for Papua New Guinea is that we have all these amazing, beautiful languages, but it's orally being passed down. It's not recorded. So even that's a challenge of preserving that very important vital culture of Papua New Guinea, is that is my child, like I'm speaking English too. I'll be speaking English, or maybe talk Piston, that's another official language, and my own native language, I'm not teaching them. So then we get to lose that because it's not recorded, it's not orally passed down. So that's the danger in, we want to learn English, and we're learning English and teaching English in the school, but we're also slowly losing our own languages as well.
Mm. Tell us
Yeah.
about Papua New Guinean culture. Like, how important is your culture to you? I mean, you've talked about oral histories and
Yeah.
traditions that are passed down.
Yeah.
But for those who just don't know anything about Papua New Guinea, like,
Yeah.
how important is your culture to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, sure. Like, because we're so diverse, I cannot speak for, all
The
the other
different tribes.
provinces. Yeah, that because, it's just there's just so much. But for me, from my own, 'cause I'm from Simbu, it's a province in the highlands, and some of cultural values that that we take on, respect of elders. When you have, even if you have nothing, but you have something, you share with everyone. And gardening, making sure you take care of your own family, so you can take care of the whole village. So gardening, like I went home this year, like early this year, and I see my grandmother. Every morning she's going to the gardening. She's going to a garden. She's working the land and getting the food from the garden to come home and cook to feed the family. So I really see her value in working hard. Like she works hard to make sure her family is safe and protected and they eat well. And so this is one of the things that I learned. Like I need to make sure I take care of my family. Even also when we have conflicts within the family, that we must always come together to sit down and to talk about it instead of you know going on and forgetting that we have that conflict, but that you're not resolving what's in your heart. And I really love that about our culture, where we come together. We could have a big meeting with the whole village coming together to talk about it. And so, you know, yeah, and one of the things about my culture is we're just very warm and loving and very open. So even if we have nothing, like in my culture, in the Simbu culture, even if I don't have money, like I could just have 10 yen, for example, or 20 yen, and I have no money for myself. But if I see someone who has nothing, I will give that to that person, and I won't even worry about what I will eat, later on. So I love that about just serving my community, serving those around us. I think that's something very special about our culture.
Mm, thank you. I want to just ask you some random questions right now
Sure.
that have nothing to do with PNG or work.
Yes.
What is the most funniest thing that has happened to you recently?
Oh my God. The most funniest thing. Well, so I have an adopted son. And so his name is Yoshi, and he asks like a lot of crazy questions. He turned 6, so he's at this stage of asking a lot of questions. And so I was talking to one of my neighbors, and he comes out and he looks at my neighbor, and she's got a baby, and she was like, "Hey, how did how did this baby come?" And um, because we had a dog named Hachi, and she also gave birth, right? So it's like, did the baby come like Hachi with the puppies? And I'm just like I didn't know what to say, but it was awkward, but I just felt so funny as well. Like, oh my god, I was like, yeah, you are right. Like it's a bit different, but yeah, Hachi is a mother, and then
Yeah.
auntie is also mother. So you are right in saying that, yeah. And then, he was like, it was a little bit awkward, but, we both just laughed it off. And I realized, man, this kid, like, he's just so innocent and asks a lot of questions. And even today, like, we had a strong breeze coming at church. And he was in today's Easter Sunday, right? So in Christianity, we believe that Jesus rose today. And so he was like, oh, because Jesus is rising today, the wind is strong. I was just like, man, yeah, that was. So he came home and he was telling, his grandparents, like, Jesus rose today, so the wind at church was so strong.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah,
Now, the next question I have for you, think
yeah.
carefully, make sure think carefully about this answer. This is not a trick question. Will the Brisbane Broncos win the NRL this year? Why are you laughing?
No, it's funny because, okay, first that I don't have a TV, right? So, so I've been missing out on the games.
So look into
But
your crystal ball. Tell me if our team is going to win this year.
ah, look, we just Rosa, I love you, my sister, but we don't we don't have Darren Lockyer, we don't have who like Wendell Saylor, like how we used to have. We don't have Lotte Tukiri, we don't have Brent Tate, all these guys. So I we gotta pray, if
Pray for our team, please. Pray
it,
for our
yeah,
team.
we gotta
They
pray for
they
us.
lost, big loss on Friday. I'm still still trying to get over that.
But
But
Rosa, we have two Papua New Guineans playing at the for Melbourne Storm, Justin
Yeah,
Olam, and
yeah,
then
I know.
we had David Mead playing for Brisbane. So if Melbourne Storm wins again, I'm still
Yeah,
gonna be happy
Melbourne
because
still
there's a Papua
they
New Guinea.
lost. Hey,
No,
Broncos lost 46 on Friday to Melbourne Storm. Shh.
see, it's okay. It's okay because I have a Papua New Guinea in Melbourne Storm. So
Yeah. Anyways, I just needed to hear that we were going to win, but it's all right.
we,
Pray for our team.
yes,
Okay,
we will win. We don't give up.
we never give up. Okay, so who would win a fight between Spider-Man and Batman?
Ooh, wow. Oh man, I love Spider Man. I mean, I know Batman's rich and all of that, but I have to go for Spider Man, or else Yoshi won't be happy. Yeah, Spider Man's gotta win.
Okay,
Marvel's
now
gotta win. Justice League.
okay, now here's one. A penguin walks through the door right now. So a penguin walks through your door right now wearing a sombrero. What does he say and why is he there?
A penguin. Are
Yes.
you confused? This is not a North Pole. This is the island, man. This is Papua New Guinea.
What is the
Yeah.
penguin going to say to you and why is he there?
Oh, what is he gonna say to me? My gosh, what's that song that I usually sing to my kids? Um, well, if I see a penguin, look at me. There's a song that I sing to my kids. I forgot. See, I've been in this development work for a long time, and I forget about my early childhood songs. But I hope it says, it's so hot here right now. I'm here to take you to the North Pole, and then let's go get some snow, and you snowboard for a while and come back. I would so love that. I miss snowboarding.
Oh,
I miss
great
the
answer.
snow.
Great answer, sis. Great answer. So does Yoshi like reading? Do you read to Yoshi? I mean, is he someone who likes to play outdoors or does he like to read? Do you read to Yoshi or what?
Yeah, he loves the Eric Carle books,
Mm.
and he's been enjoying this book. Papa, please get the moon for me. He loves that. So every time he comes out, and then he would look at the moon. He's like, "Oh, Mama Silla, hey, do you think you can get the moon?" And then we can play with it. And I'm like, "Oh, let's see. Maybe you can pray and ask Jesus if that can happen. But if not, we can just look at the moon and see how beautiful it is." But yeah, he loves reading. Also, he's a big Lego. He loves his Legos, and he builds some. I don't know. He's just got this talent of creating
Mm.
such great construction out of this Lego. I cannot even do it. He's just so creative. So yeah, he loves his Legos.
Do you
Yeah.
share any of your so for example, do you make Japanese? I mean, do you ever make like origami or like Japanese food for your family there? Like, do you share any
Oh
of that Japanese experience with them?
yeah, maybe Japanese tea,
Mm.
but it's so it's really expensive to buy like foreign um food and all of that here. And so sometimes I go by the seaweed in the shops to just come and wrap the rice.
This is
Put the
nori.
rice in there and say, there, this is origini. Or-
Onigiri.
so you can have the rice, but yeah, but it's so yeah. I don't like. I would love to make sushi, but it's hard to find the right type of fish and not find the right type of fish, but how to make it. And
Mm.
so
You
that's the
can have
challenge. But
sashimi. What about sashimi?
sashimi, yeah, but it's strange. Like coming back here, um, I'd rather have cooked fish, like raw fish.
Uh,
I'd rather have it in Japan than here in Papua New Guinea. But yeah, but with the language, like I do try to teach
mm.
my siblings, like Ichini Sango and
Yeah, your
teach
Japanese is pretty good, right?
Ooh, I feel like it was when I was in Japan, but then when I came back home, like it comes out like when I'm, when something I'm like, nande or eh, like, doyate suru, like I just say it, but you know, I have to practice, so I have to sort of put in the schedule to practice my Japanese because otherwise all I see around me are Papua New Guineans, so uh, just no Japanese to practice with, yeah. But I speak
Mm.
Japanese to Yoshi because I'm like, Yoshinobu is a Japanese name.
Mm.
So I try to say, oh, Yoshi kite or dame, bits and
Yeah,
pieces of Japanese here and there.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can teach them the basics, right?
Yeah, only the basics. Not the keigo, the polite stuff. No,
Yeah, Miss
that's
Fatima.
impossible. Yeah.
Not even I can like speak that. Hello, I can barely. Anyways, um, so you're talking about volunteers
Yeah.
from Australia and New Zealand. Are the
Yeah.
people that come? Do you get? Are they volunteers from the other chapters of the Hope organization, or are they just volunteers that come through other organizations into Papua New Guinea? So, who are these people that are coming in? Are they educators? Are they really
Yeah.
just, are they educators volunteering, or are they just your average person looking to, experience service abroad? Like,
Yeah.
who are these people coming in to work with your program and support it?
Yeah. So the volunteers that come in. So Hope Worldwide is a partner to the International Churches of Christ.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
with International Churches of Christ, they're also located all around the world. So the International Church of Christ is also located is also in Australia and New Zealand.
Okay, so it's
So
them
from
coming in.
from yeah from these churches, we get our volunteers like the youth that comes in to do some maintenance work at some schools, do some outreach, and then do also ministry where they study the Bible
Mm.
with people here as well, and also like uh, friends of those who are in church who invite them, and not necessarily they are part of the church, but they come along as well because they're friends with those who are in the church.
Mm.
So, like from our health volunteers, mostly they're not part of the church, but they're friends, so they run clinics, and those that go work in their clinics are part of the church. And so I have this amazing volunteer from Melbourne that comes every that she has been coming consistently, but unfortunately due to COVID
Right.
she didn't come last year and this year. But she's a clinic manager, retired, for a refugee clinic in Melbourne. So she came over to offer some technical assistance and see how we can strengthen our services. And so we offer quality service to the people that come into our clinic. So we've been receiving volunteers, from Melbourne and other parts of Australia and New Zealand as well. So, but those who would like to,
Mm.
also come and volunteer when everything is okay to travel and all of that, yeah, I'll definitely share my contact details and they
Yeah,
can reach out to
absolutely.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll post some information about Hope organization. I was I wanted to go back to something you mentioned earlier. Now, you mentioned
Mhm.
as the country director, you know the needs of your community. You know the needs of Papua New Guinean people.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever heard of, I mean, are there stories of organizations coming in from like first world countries, Western countries, and they come in and they kind of like build things and they do things and then they kind of leave and then because I've heard stories, right? There are organizations
Mhm.
out there that they kind of go in with, like you said, with an agenda,
Yeah.
and they'll build or they'll do something and then they'll leave, and then it's left to the people of the country to kind of maintain or sustain
Mhm.
or sometimes even rebuild something
Yeah.
that was left unfinished. Like, have you heard stories like that in Papua New Guinea? Have you experienced anything like that where people have come in and they're like, no,
Mhm.
actually, this is what we want to build. We're going to do it our way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, because working in the the this field that I'm in, you get to meet a lot of donors and international development partners that comes in, and I think they come in with that global perspective of what's
Mm,
happening around the world to come and solve a local issue.
mm,
And even for me, even I'm a local as well, but I'm from Papua New Guinea, but I also have to go back to my community and say, what do you need? You know,
mm,
even though I think I know, but I still have to go back and say, what do you need? Even call them into the discussion and say, how should we work together? So in that way, we create, the communities take ownership of what is built in the villages. So if an aid post is set up, like our aid post is set up in one of the remote parts of the country, and we make sure that the volunteer out in the communities, the villages take ownership. So they come, they
right.
clean the area, they make sure they maintain the facility, um, they make sure that the staff that's working there is well taken care of as well, as safety wise and all of that. And so I think that's the challenge of us. Papua New Guineans in the role that I am in, like when we converse with our development partners. So there's a lot of examples around where they just come in and they think they know what they do, and you just do what they do and they leave, but there's no ownership because the local, the Papua New Guineans were not part of the discussion of how do we solve this, how do we do this together. And so I think that's a challenge for me and all the others who are in the whether in the NGO, in the public sector, in the government, always to um, bring the communities in so we solve the problems holistically together. So when the funding stops, for example, the villages or the communities take ownership of it
Right.
and they make sure that it continues. So I think that's key.
Okay, so I wanted to ask about West Papua. Okay,
Yeah.
so you know the movement, Free West Papua. They are under the rule of the Indonesians. What do you know about that? And is there, like, within Papua New Guinea? I mean, do you hear a lot about what is going on in West Papua? Because on social media platforms, there is
Hmm,
definitely a lot of uh, support.
hmm,
Trying to bring to the forefront of the media. Trying to bring to light the plight of the West
hmm.
Papuans. So, can you speak to that, or are you aware of that, or yeah?
Yes. Yeah. It's such a sad situation in what's happening in West Papua, and I think a lot of young people, including a lot of Papua New Guineans, feel that we should do something about it, but nothing's been done because for say diplomatically, Papua New Guinea has a relationship with Indonesia,
Mm,
and so to respect its internal issues remain its internal issues. But if you look traditionally, West Papuans, their culture and the language, it's completely different from Indonesia, and they're more into Papua New Guinea. They're Melanesians. They're part of the
right.
Melanesian. Part of the Melanesian islands, part of the Melanesian culture, and so that's the challenge. So when I personally like, I know the story of West Papua, and I've read about it. Yeah, even we've seen on social media and all of that, but the way they got their free uh, the way they did their election to be independent, it was not like a free
It
election.
wasn't a democratic process,
it, it,
right?
it wasn't it wasn't a democratic election. So from what I've read, they've appointed certain number of people. The Indonesians appointed certain number of people to come and cast their vote whether they want to be free West Papua or whether they want to be part of Indonesia. And because they were already threatened, the
Yeah.
families were already threatened. They voted under that pressure, and so still to this day, you see, women are raped,
Mm,
people are dying in West Papua, but there's it's sad because Papua New Guinea is, we have some political leaders that came out and really stood up for West Papua and talked about the West Papuan issue. But it's something that we really need to, even as Pacific Island countries
Right.
and even Australia and New
New
Zealand as a
Zealand, who are right there. Exactly.
yeah, should
Exactly.
be very supportive of that, and we
Mm.
cannot let them suffer for a long time due to whatever reasons, whether
Yeah.
economic reasons or whatever that is. But um, they need to be free. They can't
Yeah.
be. There's no way they need to be part of Indonesia because they're completely different from Indonesia. And so, yeah, that's it's it's
Mm.
such a sad situation. A lot of Papua New Guineans really feel, and but we do what we can in terms of sharing on social media, talking about it, putting a statement out there. But really, it needs a holistic approach where the government needs to come in to really acknowledge and support the process for West Papua to be independent and to stand on their own 2 feet. 2 feet,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I think I've like in terms of like Indonesian rule within in their area, like I really only heard about it in 2016 and 2017. So I traveled to East Timor, and that's when I found out about Indonesian rule. When they were kind of like in charge of East Timor, right? So I
yeah.
saw, we learned about the history, and it was just really devastating. It was just shocking that something like this was happening so close to New Zealand and
That's right. Yeah.
Australia. And then after that is when I heard about, like, I didn't realize that West Papua, all these years, we're still suffering under that, the Indonesian rules. So
Mm,
again, you know, I see a lot of my friends, educators, you know, talking about it on social media,
yeah.
making sure that the plight of the West Papuans are heard. But
Yeah.
I just can't believe that something like this is happening so close to Australia, New
So
Zealand,
close to
and
us,
in the
it's
Pacific.
called a silent genocide,
Yeah,
really,
definitely.
because people are dying every day, and yet I feel so angry, like sometimes like, oh, like there's just no reason for them to be under this military suppression
Right.
for as long as they are, because um, it's just devastating. And so the challenge is, whatever platform that we are, we need to still not forget our brothers and sisters in West Papua, and still talk about their issue, their challenges, what they're going through every day. Because as we speak, like right now, like there's people are dying over there in West Papua, and these are our brothers and sisters,
Absolutely,
our Pacific
absolutely.
Island brothers and sisters. Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the the countries that have the voice to speak, like the Western countries, I know
Mm,
they're speaking out about Myanmar, right? They're
yeah.
speaking out about Myanmar, and all the while, West Papua is just it's been there for the longest time, right? So
Yeah.
it's okay. So speak out about other issues going on around the world, but um, here we have something right under our noses, and
Yeah.
you know, um, I guess people are just ignoring it. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, we just
really,
we,
yeah.
like we really need our big brothers, like Australia and New Zealand government to really acknowledge that this is what's going on, and
Mhm.
we need to address it with Indonesia, and help West Papua stand on its own, and
Right.
otherwise this this will there's hope. There's always hope. There's always hope, but we need the support for everyone in the Pacific
Mm.
to support our brothers and sisters in West Papua.
Yeah, and so I
Yeah,
mean, we can add like we'll add some notes to the bio.
yeah,
Not only for Hope Organization and the work that you're doing, but also Free West Papua movement, where you can help, where you can,
yes,
even just sharing um, something so that people are aware of the silent genocide,
yes,
the plight of our Pacific brothers and sisters. I mean, any way that you can get it out there, and
Yeah,
use your platform is much appreciated, I think.
that's right.
Um, so I wanted to talk about reading. I know you're a reader. I know you love to read. What was the last book that you read? Uh, If you
So,
can remember.
Rosa, my style or my interest in the books have changed over the years.
Okay.
Like when we were in high school, I was so into romance novels and all of that. But but
Okay.
you know, as I'm getting older, there's books that I want to read to give me insights into my character and all of that. But every day I have to make sure I read my Bible. I mean,
Right.
that's the most important book that I have to read every day because I can't walk out my room without reading my Bible. So that's very important. But there's a book that I read, and oh, it's just an amazing book. It's actually an autobiography of Papua New Guinea's founding prime minister,
Okay.
and actually he passed on in February this year.
Mm. That's right. I
February.
remember you were saying, right?
Yeah. uh, Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. And so I really wanted to, he's the one who led us into independence, and was able to unite this fragmented, diverse country, Papua New Guinea, and able to create that patriotic feeling in us to say that we are Papua New Guineans. And
Mm.
so, yes, I've been reading this book. It's called Sanam, and it's an autobiography of Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare. And I just love this book so much because it tells you about his life growing up as a child,
Mhm.
and his life growing up in the colonial era, and then also his customary rituals
Mm.
into initiate like him initiating a customary initiation of becoming a man, and then according him that chieftaincy title called Sana. So Sana is the principle of Sana is basically like what's so cool that he described. It was funny because when I was reading, I felt like I can hear his voice like talking to me. So, like Sana is basically a peacemaker. So he's a peacemaker, and I love that he said, Sana's principle is basically, for example, like when you are trying to go to war with your enemy. First of all, before you go to war, you invite them to your house, and you cook some delicious food, and you sit down together and you share a meal, and then after, both of you can agree whether you want to go to war or not. So I just love that because that principle actually guided late Sir Michael Somare into guided him into his political journey, where he was able to, you have this diverse mindset come in, and some were saying, no, Papua New Guinea shouldn't be independent, and we still have a long way to go in 20 years time, 30 years time. But he was saying, no, we will be independent in a few years time. And so he was able to bring everyone together and then talk, and he was able to, he's a peacemaker, so because his chieftaincy title is Sana, which means peacemaker. And so, yeah, as a Papua New Guinean reading, it just I guess challenged me and also motivate me that, wow, what he has done, he's already built the institutions, he's achieved, you know uh, independence for our country, brought us to become independent. And it was it was also like frustrating reading about the colonial challenges that Papua New Guinea went through as well. And he saw that, and I think uh, that pushed him to really fight for an independent Papua New Guinea, where Papua New Guineans will be leading the country. Papua New Guineans will decide business to education to we will be our own pilots, we will be our own lawyers, we will be our own engineers, we will build our own roads. And so that was really his vision.
mm,
And it was so cool because during that time, in 1975, we got our independence, September 16, 1975. And on that day, the Prime Minister of Australia um, told him, "You don't have anybody to build your country. How do you, like, you have no lawyers, no pilots, no engineers? Who's going to build your road?" And then he got up and he told the Prime Minister of Australia, and he said, "You look at all these women who were there to witness the lowering of the Australian flag and rising of the Papua New Guinea flag." And he told him, like, "These women, you see these women over there? These are the women who will give me pilots. These are the women who will give me doctors. These are the women who will build my roads." Yeah, so he was a visionary leader,
mm.
and I'm the product of his vision. So yeah, it was very it's such an inspiring book
It
that
sounds
I read.
like it. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Just before, while I remember, you came to Japan. You've completed your studies here. Then you went back home. Do you see a lot of people like yourselves, who have graduated from universities overseas and are kind of heading back into, back to the homeland to work and to run these NGOs and work in the government? Are there a lot of graduates coming back home, or not really?
Oh, Rosa, definitely. Like, this is something that's inspiring because we go out to learn. Like, a lot of my friends, actually, I have friends who are running NGOs as well,
Mm,
and I have friends whom we graduated together from university here in Papua New Guinea. They also went to New Zealand, Australia to study, or in England,
mm,
and they're home now, working in holding high positions in the government sector, even in the business, private sector, and development sector. And so it's really inspiring for me to come back home and to know that, hey, I have all my mates who just want to give, and their hearts are in the right places, their mindset are in the right places, because they want to serve their community, they want to serve their our people, and we want to see a better Papua New Guinea. We want to be uh, we want to be also represented well, we want to be counted, we have so much to give.
mm,
And so it's just amazing because I see a lot of my friends are doing so well, coming back home, and their hearts are in the right place to serve their communities. So I feel like I'm not alone. Even in this work, I have young men and women out there who are also striving to give their best to create a better Papua New Guinea. So that's very inspiring.
You are super inspiring, sis. I have to say that you're very inspiring.
I also wanted to suggest a book. I think that
Oh
book.
yes, sorry. Go ahead.
Also, I also want to suggest another book. I think that's those who are leading or want to um, lead in their communities or want to make a difference. There's a book that I got this book in San Diego, actually, but it's called, I got Courageous Leaders. Can you see?
Yep.
Yeah, Courageous Leaders. So basically, there's a lot of books on leadership you can find out there, but this book is actually talking about a God-inspired vision.
Mm,
So if you have a God-inspired vision, you do the right thing, and then a God-led plan, you do things right. You know, and God motivated action, where whatever you do the right things right. And so I just love that because I didn't know anything about working for an NGO or even leading an NGO coming back home. Like, I didn't have any experience in that. But I read this book about God inspired vision. It's courageous leaders. So it just talks about, when you have a vision, it has to be higher than yourself.
mm,
It has to be um, about fulfilling God's vision. And when your mindset and your vision is set on God, it's really not about you. So even though you just feel like, oh, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to do this, why, why should I do this? But your vision is very clear. It's about it's God inspired vision. God said, love your neighbors,
Mm,
as you love yourself. Treat your neighbors as you treat yourself. So you want to go out there and you want to make a difference because it's a God inspired vision. So
mm,
it's not easy every day. It's challenging, but whenever I think about no, I'm doing this. I'm in this. I'm working with the clinics and all of that. I'm in the healing ministry. I'm delivering this education program that's the teaching ministry of Christ. So just having that God inspired vision, like you won't look for passion because it fuels you every day. So I just want to recommend this book to
yeah.
anyone who's
Thank you.
yeah.
I love it. We'll definitely post the details of the books on the bio, so you have nothing to worry about. Do you have another book to share, or are you?
Yeah, but it's okay. I have another book as well.
Of course. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, this is such a great book. Like as a young woman, and I'm working. I don't know how to. I have challenges in budgeting, right,
Mm,
and finances, and how do I do it well? Because it's like money comes in and money goes out, right? And so, how do I address that? So the books I've been reading lately have, like I said, it's really to build my character or something that I lack. So I look out for a book that can um, help me build my character. So this book is Faith and Finances.
mhm,
Okay, Faith and Finances, and it's so good because it talks about how to honor God with your wealth,
right.
and it provides like scriptures um, as well of how to just how to budget well, but how to please God as well
Mm,
with your wealth, and it provides like practical examples of how you can, especially during these COVID times,
mm,
like if you have just one base of income coming in, and you lose your job, then there's a lot of examples like even in Papua New Guinea during COVID, a lot of unemployment because loss of jobs and all of that. So it really um, inspires one to think about diversifying their income base to have, you can have one or two or three, but then when that will comes in, you have to remember to honor God with that and give to the needy and to the poor. And yeah, so that's another great book that I think I need a lot of help in that in terms of just, you know, um, faith and finances and yeah, live unwisely.
Well, there we have it, folks. I mean, Scylla, um, she's dropped so many jewels today. So, I mean, you are inspiring, sis. That's why I got you on the show in the first place. I really wanted, our audience to hear just the amazing things, you know, despite challenges, these amazing programs and
Mm,
initiatives that you are doing back in your country, in your homeland. Obviously, we miss you here in Japan, but I know that being back home was definitely
yeah,
the best decision for you.
yes,
You've also shared three great books that I'm sure people will be very interested in. So I'll be dropping that in the bio.
yes.
But
Thank you.
it's just been such an honor to have you with us today. Um, you know, I
Thank
mean,
you so much,
yes,
Rosa. It's such a pleasure. Thank you, and yeah, I'm so grateful to be here and yeah, to share about my journey and hope it inspires young women and including men out there to don't forget your roots and to go back
I
and
know.
serve in your where you come from in the islands, wherever you are, go back and serve.
Well, there you have it, folks. We will drop the details for Hope Worldwide Organization. We will drop it in the bio, as well as Priscilla's social media accounts, so you can get in touch if you have any questions, if you're hoping to perhaps volunteer, or perhaps we might even have some people in the audience listening and watching who can donate to the Hope Worldwide Organization chapter in Papua New Guinea. So once again, sis, thank you. I appreciate you. Miss you heaps. but we'll catch up again very soon. Take care.
Thank you. Miss you too. Matane.
Mata ne, arigato ne.
Arigato.
Hi, bye bye.